I'll start down there with Eric. Tell us something about yourself, Eric.
My name's Eric Chapman. I was born and raised here in Okmulgee. Attended school here. Dropped out of high school in '73, joined the Army to serve this country. Got my GED while I was there. Was honorably discharged. I attended college at Commerce Junior State College, receiving an associate's degree in police science. I was hired by the city of Okmulgee in '76 as a police officer. Continued on my education model policeman here. Obtained a master's degree in police administration. Left here in '87 after 10 years as a captain with the police department. And was hired by an agency, small agency, but at that time it was NIS, Naval Investigative Service. Today it's known as Naval Criminal Investigative Service. Did 20 years with them, and retired, moved back to Okmulgee in '07. I'm married, been married for 42 years. I have 4 children, 12 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. That pretty much gives you an update on me.
Steve?
Hello, my name is Steve Aldridge, and I'm the mayor of the city of Okmulgee. And first, I want to say that it's been an honor to represent the city these last 3 years. It's been an honor to represent the city the last 8 years as a councilman before I became mayor. I lived here when I was a kid, and I went from 2nd grade through 10th grade. I moved to California, and I came back many times on vacation, and I always felt that Okmulgee was my home. And so in 2000, I had an opportunity to move here, and I've been here for 15 years now, and I really enjoy Okmulgee. This is my home, and I've enjoyed serving the community. After high school, I went in the Army, and I went to NCO Academy, and I served my country as well. I was a computer engineer, and I have an honorable discharge. After that, I went to work for Honeywell, and worked in San Diego. I worked on aircraft carriers, and I did that for quite a while, and then I ended up working in prisons in California for over 14 years, California Department of Corrections. I moved back in 2000, and I had the privilege of working at IBM in Tulsa, and I worked on the British Petroleum account for over 14 years. During that time, I had the privilege of attending IBM leadership, and so this was something that was really desired in the company. And I went to Colorado, and I attended that off and on over a period of a year. I graduated from that program, and I also had the opportunity to go through Okmulgee leadership right here, provided by the Chamber of Commerce. As my children were growing up and they attended Okmulgee schools, I got really interested in Okmulgee as far as what could I do to help change for the better. And I served on the Okmulgee Education Foundation for 3 years. I'm a Lion with Okmulgee Lions. I also was an ELK board member. I'm also an OADC member, which is our Economic Development Board. I'm also on the OCJA board, and I was a member of the Historical Society and the Okmulgee Chamber member as well. And I have 4 children, and I'm a grandparent, and I'm expecting another grandson soon. My concern is, what are we going to do for the next generation of my children? And so that was one reason why I'm in leadership today. Thank you.
Terry Watkins.
My name is Terry Watkins, and Scott, it's good to see you back in town, and we're sorry to hear about your loss, but we're glad you made it back safe and sound. Welcome home. I was born and raised here, and I graduated from high school here in 1972, and been married to my wife Debbie for 43 years. I had to stop and think it's so long. You're right. But in 1976, I went to work for what was then Rainbow Bread, and they transferred me from here to Tulsa, and from Tulsa to Fort Smith, and back to Tulsa, then to Little Rock, Arkansas. And I started out obviously as a trainee, and when I resigned my position or stepped down at Little Rock, I was the director of sales, and over the entire state of Arkansas, the total operations from transport trucks, route sales, advertising, retail stores. I was responsible for negotiating labor contracts, leases, putting together models for profitability for companies such as Kroger, Walmart Supercenters, Safeway, several different businesses, small and large. And I finally woke up once after I'd been working 80 hours a week, 83, 84 hours a week. I mean, it was nothing to leave the house at 4 and get home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I looked up one day and I'd missed my daughter's raising. And I said, no, it's over. I'm not going to miss it, my grandkids. So I asked to step down. At the time, we had Cane's Coffee, and they had a route open here in Okmulgee, and after 2 months of negotiating and wrestling and begging and pleading, they let me take this route. And we moved back in 2006, almost exactly 30 years. And there's a lot of changes gone on in Okmulgee at that time, not all of them for the good. I felt like I could help make a change with my leadership and background. I'm proud of Okmulgee. I'm very honored and pleased to serve Okmulgee on the city council. Very honoring to me and humbling to get elected to serve that. I consider myself an active member of First Baptist Church here at Okmulgee. We're there every Sunday and been known to drive the church bus. My God is very important to me, so is my family, and so is my city. So I'm here to try to help and do what I can. I'm very appreciative of Eric Chapman for wanting to get involved in city government. We need more and more involvement from the city at every level. And it's just an honor to be here, and I thank everyone for taking time out of their day and showing up and being interested in Omaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I just want to qualify that all the candidates got these questions prior to this forum tonight, and so that's just for whatever it's worth. My next question, and it'll go to Steve first. Explain your understanding of your role as mayor under the Okmulgee City Charter and council manager form of government. And would you support the change from a council manager to a strong mayor form of government?
I've been performing the function of mayor for the last 3 years. Before that, I was vice mayor for 3 years. The councilman at large can live in any ward. That's per our charter. The mayor runs all the public meetings, and so he's the official of the meetings. He's the team lead. Try to get the other councilmen on board with an idea or a function, or even raise issues on the agenda. You go to many functions as the mayor, and you represent the city of Okmulgee. You read proclamation at community events, and you work with the city council to set goals for the city and the city manager. You communicate openly to the citizens of Okmulgee. You also work very hard to recruit businesses to our community. You also work on the Economic Development Corporation Board, and you work with them on industry, you work with them on retail, which retail is the #1 thing that affects our bottom line as a city, since all the revenue that we get in for the city comes from the 4% sales tax that we get from our retail sales tax. As far as my views on a strong mayor versus a strong mayor form of government, which we have right now, I have been thinking about this for years. And if I have researched it as well. So if you write down the pros and cons, the pros are you have a mayor that's elected by the people, you have a direct effect on the city government, that's probably more swift. And, you know, so you have maybe more representative government than what we have now, because currently what we put in place in 1953 is basically a board that drives the city manager. Now, if three people on that board are not on the same page, then you can have an issue with your city manager. We made some really tough choices 3 years ago, and we changed the leadership. And we can see what has happened since we changed the leadership. So as a councilman and a mayor, if you don't manage that city manager, then they can take you down the wrong road. Now let's talk about being a strong mayor. Let's look at every community in Oklahoma. Very few small communities have a strong mayor. In fact, Eufaula was one that recently went to city manager form of government. Now, a lot of when you have McAllister and you have Eufaula, those people actually went to jail. There's one mayor that went to jail. And so if you hire a city manager, that city manager must know what the parameters are on how to run the city. They need to know what EPA regulations are. They need to know DEQ. They need to know what the law is, and they have to abide by what the attorney's advice is, and then state law, city ordinances. They also need to be a manager, so they need to be qualified. Now, if we were in a strong mayor situation in a small town, we have 12,300 people. We have people that, when we do our elections, we have about 840 people that go out and vote. So 840 people are going to determine who our mayor will be. Now, if that mayor, maybe they have the best resume in the world, but if they can't manage the city employees and the city government, if they can't manage their own checkbook, and then you give them $26 million a year to manage, they can do a lot of damage in 3 years. I also think that one of the cons is not only are you going to go to a strong mayor, but you're going to still have to have a city manager that's going to ensure that the government is run properly. So, just like Tulsa. So, is our city ready to pay another salary? So right now we're about $92,000 for the city manager. Are we willing to pay $100,000 for a mayor when we could take that money and we could possibly put 3 more police officers on the street? So right now I can support moving to a strong mayor. I will not. So that's my point of view. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Terry?
A lot of what Okmulgee's mayor is capable to do, or his job description, is basically like the mayor said, it's in the city charter. You don't have any extra powers or special duties other than mostly ceremonial and to serve on boards. I mean, we'd just be redundant. But like I said, that's in the city charter. You know, there's nothing we can do about that without taking a vote of the city. But on the strong mayor form of government, I absolutely 100% believe in strong mayor form of government. I believe that the government should be by the people. Right now, the city manager basically works for 3 people. There's 5 people on the board. All he's got to do is buy enough chicken dinners and have them at their house, 3 of them, to make them happy. And it's out of the city, the voters' hands. You've got a city council, you've got a city attorney, you've got supervisors and managers over each department in the city. It's pretty much set of what he can do. He's kind of like the president answering to Congress or the Senate. I mean, the whole thing. You can't just unilaterally sit down and make wholesale changes without the vote of the city council, without 3 of the 5. And I think if you're not doing your job, then you come up for vote for election every 3 years, and the citizens can vote you back in or throw you out. I just believe that the power of government ought to be the people themselves. You know, it's the people's tax money, they need to be involved. Right now, there's a lack of voters nationwide at every level. Voter apathy is terrible, let's face it. What causes that, I think, is numerous things, and that is not really what we're here to discuss on a national level. But I believe that if we had a strong mayor form of government, people would be more involved and pay closer attention, and they would educate themselves.
Well, my understanding is that the mayor is predominantly a figurehead. He handles he represents the cities in different programs, gives speeches, ribbon cutter. As far as power, I don't believe the mayor has any more power than any other councilman, and alone he has no power, is my understanding. He has to have that majority. I like that. I think it should be about the majority and what the people feel. As far as changing, I'd have to look at all the facts, which I have done. I'll just say that I'm a very methodical person. You give me something, I want to see all the facts. I don't want to just see one person's facts that lead you into their truth. I want to see all the different paths. It's, to me, it's like receiving a case. I spent over 30 years in law enforcement. 20 of those was doing criminal investigations. And you have to look at every avenue to come to a decision. So I would have to really do a lot more, see a lot more research on that.
Next question. How would you suggest improving the mid-level housing problem in Okmulgee? Terry, you go first.
I think a lot of it comes back to pride in our neighborhoods and self-pride, and taking the initiative to police your own yards, your own neighborhoods. I think we have a lot of city codes and ordinances that we can do a better job of enforcing. We can tear down 300 or 400 houses in a 10-year span, 20-year, whatever it's been, but there's other things into making our housing better other than just tearing them all down. For example, cars that haven't been tagged and are sitting in the front yards for several years or on jacks. Well, there's ordinances in the city codes that can happen. We can have them towed off at the owner's expense or send them citations and them tow it off, and we have done some of that. We also have a lot of dilapidated houses where the landlords just won't take initiative to do anything with them. There's such a thing called the International Maintenance Code, and I would like to really dig into that and see what we can and can't do. We brought this subject up several times in city council meetings, and I've been told there's not a law against ugly, and I can understand that. But we have got to do something about our neighborhoods, and it's hurting our properties, our property values. There's been lots of money invested in Okmulgee Main Street. Our property values are probably down, I want to say 30–40% or more, maybe what they should be if it wasn't for the dilapidated neighborhoods. One thing that I would like to do, and I'm going to mention now, I've been working on with 2 or 3 other people. We're putting together a 503c, I believe it is, not-for-profit program. And we're going to put together a panel of 8 to 10 people, and we're going to make a set of guidelines. Then if you're 65 years or older, you own your house, or you're a disabled veteran, and you need help with the painting and the cleaning of your house, you can apply to us. When that is granted, if you meet all of the criteria, it'll be downstairs, outside only. We're not going to trim trees, we're not going to climb roofs and redo roofs. But we will help you as volunteers clean up your house, your outside. We will give them a color of about 3 or 4 colors of paint to choose for the outside of their house. And as volunteers, we'll have a contractor, and we will go in and try to paint these houses and clean them up. I'm not against it if we need to. There's a certain number of houses that if you're on our rental and you have X number of houses, we need to negotiate with what the number would be and work it out. I wouldn't be against giving them some kind of tax breaks if we could. Not sure how we could do it because property tax and things go through the school boards. But we have to have some kind of incentive other than just beating them over the head to improve our neighborhoods. And I may have went a little long there, but I tried to shut up.
Well, I agree with Terry that the appearance is a major thing. I think that the citizens are here for the city, not the other way around. And when the city starts, and I'm sure they do anyway, we've got to improve the reputation. It's something that I've never heard anybody talk about. But I've heard people, when you start talking to the citizens, then you start hearing the problems that they're talking about. And I just look at the fact that each citizen, they have friends and neighbors and people that don't live here, but they listen to how these folks talk. And that's where we get our reputation. And so I think not only cleaning up the properties, but we got to clean up our reputation as well.
Well, you know, obviously we have problems in this town. Every town does. So I hear people say, well, you know, Okmulgee's got this, Okmulgee's got that, but, you know, Tulsa has the same thing. It's a ball public label. We have challenges. Our infrastructure is old. We're working on that. But the thing that's neat about Okmulgee is that, you know, I've traveled many places in the world. I've been to India and back twice. But when I come back to Okmulgee, I look at the opportunity in this town to buy houses that are reasonable and to clean up the house and either sell it or rent it. And one of the things that I've been doing is I've been working with investors, and I haven't had any success lately, but let's look at what we have. As Tulsa comes south to Okmulgee, we're going to gain investors in our county, and we need to zone the county so that we can protect those people's investment. And by doing residential or commercial, we can restrict what's going to happen to your neighbor, or if you own property and your neighbor wants to put a farm there or whatever he wants. But we do have some zones in Okmulgee right now that are already residentially zoned. We have Quail Meadows, that needs to be finished out. We have 120 acres in the city limits that's on Skyline Drive. And then also there's 40 acres that is between Mission on the south side of Oakwood. So there is plenty of opportunity that can be expanded and developed. But what happens is the return on investment. So we have 2 school districts in Okmulgee. We have Okmulgee and we have Morris. And they're actually having a meeting tonight about the Okmulgee School District and what's happening. But what we see is we have a lot of people that want to go to Morris versus Okmulgee. And so that's a fundamental problem that we have in Okmulgee. But until we can get investors to invest, you know, we don't need any more low-income housing. We definitely need mid-level housing. And when you're talking about mid-level, you're at least $100,000 and up. And we have professionals that are coming here that work at OSU, Kelco, Braden, Coca-Cola. You know, they have a choice. And we have a choice, but we chose to stay here and live here and love this town. But you know what's interesting? I want to talk on a positive note. Let's look at what's happened in the last 3 years downtown. We had the same problem with the downtown, where we had buildings that were aging and people were not putting investment in it. But look at who's come to the rescue. Our hometown people. As they're growing older, or they have opportunity and see opportunity when the business plan makes sense, they're reinvesting in our community, and it's called Okmulgee Rising. And we need to grab the concept of flip this town, and we need to work on it block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, and continue to enforce our codes, but also encourage people to clean up. And we have free dump days. We have free E-days where you can dump your electronic waste at the recycle center, and we will continue to do that. So I look forward to the future of Okmulgee because I think it's a lot brighter than what we're seeing.
What do you think are the most important issues facing Okmulgee in the next 10 years, and how would you address them? Eric?
Well, again, I believe that's growth and reputation. There's been a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of folks that are volunteers and working on downtown and trying to improve the appearance to attract businesses and new citizens. Those two, I still think that reputation is the most important. Reputation, growth, and safety of our citizens.
Steve?
One of the biggest things that we need to do in the next 10 years, and we've been doing it, is broadening our tax base through economic development. As we bring in more economic development to Okmulgee, which we've been working steadily on economic development, and as we see even Love's recently broke ground, they're going to be adding over $10,000 a month to the Okmulgee budget, the city of Okmulgee budget. That's huge. As we see more development in Okmulgee, we're also going to see more income going to the school system because it's directly affected the ad valorem tax. So as property rises, the property values rise, then the schools are going to be funded more, and so is the city. So we just have to continue on that track. We're going to continue to develop our partnerships with Muskogee Creek Nation, with OSUIT, and with Okmulgee County, and with industries. Water capacity is a huge issue and important. And what we've been looking at right now is the new water tower project, which is about $5 million for that water tower. Right now, we have one pipe that goes from our water treatment plant to the system, the distribution system. If we have an outage of that pipe, then we're going to have the whole city down. When we have the city down, that means that residents can't use their water, nor can restaurants be open. And so Kelco uses about 1.5 million gallons a day. Coca-Cola uses about 1.5 million a month. And so we want to ensure that our commercial customers and our citizens have ample supply of water every day. So if we lose connection to the water treatment plant, with the new expanded water towers, we'll be able to at least get us back online, and we won't have any interruption in service to the community. We also service 40,000 customers a day from our water treatment plant. It goes all the way up north of Mounds and Hectorville, and so that's how we're trying to keep the cost of water treatment down for all the citizens in the Okmulgee city limits. So, thank you.
Listen, what do you think is the most important facing Okmulgee in the next 10 years? Not in. Okay. But in fact, the problem Okmulgee has is our workforce. We've got a blue-collar workforce in a technical world, basically. We're below in education, which there's an important meeting going on right now across town to discuss Okmulgee's education and its future. The key to any city, small or large, in my opinion, is the education. There's not a whole lot of the educational part that the city council can address, but we can support the school districts every way that we legally can by law to help make the education in the schools acceptable or more acceptable. One of the problems Okmulgee has, and I've said this in the past, is we have an image problem with heritage. Yes, there's lots of things going on downtown Okmulgee. Okmulgee Rising, it's wonderful. It's private investment. The city has tried to do everything we can to make it easy for them to do what they need to do permit-wise and all to grow the downtown. But we have got to give people a reason to come to Okmulgee. You don't just get up some morning on Saturday morning and say, honey, let's load up the kids. Let's go to Okmulgee. That's not going to happen. We have got to give them a reason to come here to showcase it. And that's one of the things that I have been talking about that for a long time is unfortunately radio station KRMG in Tulsa listed Okmulgee as the number 5 ghetto town in Oklahoma. We're not, I know it, you know it, but that's the image we have. But they made up for it by, the KRMG did, by saying that we were only the 8th worst city to live in the state of Oklahoma, and that was in August of 2015. Well, there's a lot going on now in Okmulgee. We're cleaning up a lot of the neighborhoods, Main Street group, and Okmulgee Rising is wonderful. But to get people to come here is Scott Fettgetter brought up he's bringing back the Pecan Festival, which is something I've been wanting to do for several years. I asked Scott if I could join up with him and bring the Kansas City Barbecue Society cook-off to Okmulgee. He was agreed to it. He got a lot of things going on, I'll let Steve go with it, but it's gonna be a state championship barbecue cook-off. We've got the proclamation. We'll have some of the, probably 10 or 15 of the top 30 best cooks known around the world, even other than Oklahoma and the United States, because there's not over 19,000 members in the Kansas City Barbecue Society. They will attract a crowd. Some of the things that Scott's going on, I think TV coverage and radio coverage will begin on Thursday, and State of the Lights will turn about Saturday night. I think it's going to be a wonderful event. The way it's going to be marketed, I believe will bring people to Okmulgee. It'll give us a chance to show them we're not the hicks or the bumpkins that they think we are. But we're going to have to improve our image and get people to visit. I want to explore the Okmulgee Lakes, but that's under a different chapter, and I'm getting out of it. So I don't know. Try to watch that time. But thank you all for listening to us.
Thank you, Terry. What would be the top 3 goals for the city during your term as mayor, and how would you implement them? Steve?
Well, one thing is that we're going to continue to reduce our debt by keeping our budget. In 6 years, we're going to free up our some of our income, about $1 million a year. We're retiring the debt. Right now, we have $65 million in debt. Most of that is infrastructure. We have brown water at times. We have orange water. We're continuing to work on our water mains. Our infrastructure is very old. And so when we have earthquakes, trucks driving by, disturbances, when we have pipe breaks, people get their water discolored, and that's because our pipes are like our arteries. Over time, they get clogged, and it's it's terrible looking. But we're going to polypipe. We've been replacing as much as we can. We probably need at least $30 million to replace it all at one time, but we just don't have that money. But what we did do was we replaced 95% of our sewer mains. We had a major problem with the sewer mains leaking. When we had stormwater from our rains, the sewer would flood and it would go into the river. Well, that cost the city $1 million in EPA funds. So we're going to continue to do that. But once we free up, like I said, in 6 years, as we retire our debt and we keep to our budget, then we're going to have over $1 million that we can start using to apply back to infrastructure and paving projects and continue to restore our city. I think development of the state park. I think that is a high priority. We have partnered with Tulsa International for the Okmulgee Regional Airport in hopes that we could grow that airport. Many people, and I've asked the same things, why is the airport not being utilized? It's one of the best airports in Oklahoma. We've got 1,500 acres out there, and so we decided a couple of years ago that we would partner with Tulsa International. So we're going to continue to do that. And then I would like to continue to work on tourism and making Okmulgee a destination town, and our downtown with our lakes and our downtown and what we have to offer. So, thank you.
The beautification of Okmulgee is number one, would be one of them. Not necessarily any order, but that's one of the first things I put down. Work on changing our image, economic development, and controlling the controllables. We can talk about economic growth and bringing in new companies and new retail and all of that, but every city in the United States is after every business, that large or small, that wants to come in. So, but we can't control all of that. But we can control the controllables, and by that, I've been preaching about developing Okmulgee Lakes for 3 years now. That will not generate a ton of jobs, I understand that. What it will do is generate a lot of visitors from out of town. We proposed it at one city council meeting, I believe in June, then there was another one added. There's 2 proposals for developing Okmulgee Lake on the council's table as of right now. But we haven't done anything. Well, you know, we need to, if we're gonna talk about something, let's put together a task force and let's get started. You know, I know government moves slow, you know, when there's things, if we're abetting your property or wanting to mow your lawns or do this, citizens have rights and it takes 30, 45 days or whatever, and that makes the government move slow. Well, things like developing Okmulgee Lake is just coming down with a plan, putting together a program and saying our task force, town hall meetings, whatever it's going to be, and let's get started. Talking doesn't accomplish a whole lot. It's good for planning and strategizing. Somewhere down the road, you got to start following through on things. And I think that we are kind of suffering on following through in Okmulgee in lots of areas, not just the city council, as people. One of the concerns that I have that bothers me is we can't. But we can't to me means I don't want to. And that's hard for me to understand. You know, we have got to put forth the effort to control what we can. Or another thing that bothers me is that won't work here. How do you know it won't work here if we try? We don't know, but it won't work. Well, you know, what we want to do at the lake in developing these hospitality house and cabins, if you get online right now and you want to start trying to rent it for a family reunion, you're going to be put on a waiting list. Several of y'all heard me talk about Hugo, Oklahoma and what they have down there. It's where I modeled this. Well, they only rent theirs out 52 weeks a year because there's not 53. You know, they're 105 miles at the end of the Indian Nation Turnpike. You go a circle around Okmulgee in an hour and a half circle and you got over 1 million people to draw from. A lot of those people have money. I want it, or we want it. Not for me personally, but I mean sales tax visitors and things of that nature. And it's time that we got started controlling the controllables. And that will start immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gary?
My top 3 goals would be, reputation again would be the first one. And the appearance that people see when they come through town, come downtown, and the safety of the citizens. Get all those things that will attract our businesses. Those are my 3 most important things.
The next question is, what needs to be done regarding economic development and what role the city should play? I'm going to avoid that question. Now, I'm going to throw you one that is not on your list. What if the state of Oklahoma should void their lease on the lake property with the city of Okmulgee and leave the premises as a state-operated facility?
Not a problem. Bring it on. We can manage that. It's just like managing any other business. You model the copy, or you copy the model that's already in place. Your camp hosts that collect the fees, normally I'll have to double check 2 years ago. If you were a camp host, you drag your trailer out there, you get free electricity and water and all that. They pay for your satellite TV and your cell phone. They're in charge of collecting all the fees for the rental property, or the rental of the camping spots that are out there. So that would take care of collecting of the fees. You'd also have to have probably a park manager, and someone would have to mow the yard, keep the park mowed, cleaned up, so you'd have another employee there. And we'd probably have to work some way in coordination with the county, I would assume. Hopefully the county, the Muskogee Creek Nations in the city could all get involved in it, because they'll have to have some safety. You'd have to have patrolling, you'd have to have the lake patrol. So there will be some issues that are with it, but we've already got the equipment, a lot of the people are in place that we can just take it and run right along. We might possibly have to start charging a user fee. Most of the lakes, you know, like I like to duck hunt. Okay, I'm limited where I can go duck hunt on Eufaula Lake because they got the park closed because you can't collect the fee. But our lake would be hard to collect a fee to cross through because it's a county road. You know, it's people that live back there. But we may have to sell permits for loading and unloading boats and day use fees. But that is what's already happening at your Corps of Engineer lakes. I think that would make it even more important for us to develop the lakes to help subsidize it. The cabins I went to bring, I forgot that sheet of paper, would generate roughly close to $60,000 a year, if I remember right, and rent was more than that. Our profit on it would be about $60,000 a year. But that would help give us some operating fund. Developing those lakes, cabins, and rental property would help in sales tax. I don't know of anyone, or at least our family, we go to the lake for a family reunion or a picnic or whatever, gotta go to town, gotta rent a pair of shoes, or someone got their bathing suit. Sales tax dollars. Gotta buy groceries when you get there, sales tax dollars. Hopefully a company out of Tulsa or any company would want to rent the hospitality house for what we call brainstorming sessions. It's another reason to make them move here, to visit us. They visit us, they see the town, they see our property values, they see what they can get for their money. Possibly we can get them to move their business here. Or if they're expanding their business, they can come here. It would take some planning, but it's not insurmountable. We've got the people and the equipment in place. We'd have to hire a few folks, but I don't see where that would be a major issue. So that could be a benefit long term. If the state pulls out of the lake and just leaves it lock, stock, and barrel, then here it is, Okmulgee, we're not renting it from you anymore, it's yours.
Okay.
Basically, I paraphrase.
And I believe that at one time, we did run that place. We had
Yes.
3 or 4 officers that were assigned to work there. I wouldn't see a problem with the city taking it back completely.
Steve?
Well, that's not a hypothetical, actually, because we are gonna get it back. And,
We're ready to tell.
Okmulgee, well,
We're now.
we already
Yeah. Okay.
You know, we've had a task force that's looking at this right now, and we've been talking about this for years. The state wanted to buy the park, and we wouldn't sell it because we were afraid that they would do exactly what they're doing, and they would sell off the park to individuals for development. So we didn't. We felt that it was the citizens' best interest to keep the state park as city property, and that we would not sell it to the state. We offered it to them for $1 lease, which is what we had done for 50 years, but they did not want that. They wanted to buy it. So we didn't sell it because we didn't feel that was the citizens' best interest. And considering that we supply 40,000 people a day with water, and those lakes are very important to us, they're critical to the growth and to just our existence of Okmulgee. But one of the things that we realize is the state is running that at a deficit of $140,000 a year. Well, that's because they have full-time employees, and the park is almost shut down in the winter. So we will have to make some changes. We will have to either charge admission, for sure we're going to have a boat launch fee, so like we did in the old days. The city did run that for many, many years. And the state's done a great job. It's a beautiful park. It's one of our crown jewels for Okmulgee. We will continue to keep it open. We have some funds that we got from oil leases that we can use towards the operation of that. But I have proposed a plan of, right now we have 4 lake lease lots out there. Those 4 people are the luckiest people in this whole county because they have a lease and no one else can get a lease because the city's not leasing any more property. We have 60 acres at Carpenter's Point that I'd like to just not subdivide because we put everything in the city limits that is at the lake. So all of our city property that is at the lake is in city limits. But what I'd like to do is on the 60 acres possibly divide 30 1-acre lots. We'd have some that are on the shoreline and some that are internal. But they would be beautiful areas for people that wanted to lease lake property and do a long-term lease. Do about a 25-year lease with them. The city has all the cards because we own the property. So we could have a nice electronic gate as you go in. And the main things are costs, though. When we look at these proposals, we did talk about this in August. And our councilman recommended that we do a planning session included in our INCOG study that we're doing a strategic plan right now. So he wanted more assurance, and he wanted further study of what we were going to do, and so that's what we're doing. We're working on it, but we do need to take action. I want to do that, but it takes more than one councilman. We can also run the lake cheaper because we won't have 4 full-time employees year-round. As it goes into the winter months, we can let our seasonal people go that are going to be doing the mowing and the maintenance, but we will continue to have a park director and then also law enforcement. So right now, that is city limits. We don't need any help from the county, so we can just send our police out there if we need to. Right now, the boat patrolman is out there on the busy weekends. They're not out there 100% of the time. So I really don't see that as a big cost, but I think that we can do that efficiently. Advertisement. I've been saying for years that we're not advertising the lakes. When you go out there on holiday weekends, it's packed out. But the rest of the weekends, you don't see a lot of campers and visitors. But if we can take over the park, which we will, and we will work through this season, we're going to see how it functions. We know how to run it. We can do it. But I think supplementing the operational costs with lake leases and possibly a retreat center, it has to make sense with a business plan, and it has to be profitable. Otherwise, we're just losing more money. But I love the lakes, and I know most people in Okmulgee love them, and many people that come through this country, I ran into a couple that were from Rhode Island, and they saw the park on the web, and they were at Dripping Springs, and they just loved it. They just talked about how beautiful it is and what an asset it is to our community. So I'm excited about the opportunity, but I do believe that we can run it just as well as the state, and probably better, because we care more about the park.
What are your views on the Okmulgee Rising movement and downtown redevelopment?
I think they're doing a great job. I think a lot of folks that are doing a lot of hard work, a lot of volunteers. I always use more volunteers. You look at just this meeting alone. You folks are here. You're citizens. And you're taking an active part. So that's what we need, is the folks that are willing to volunteer and get out and work to better the town.
Steve?
Well, I'm excited about Okmulgee Rising. I mean, it's incredible what has happened in the last 2.5 years in downtown Okmulgee. Okmulgee is a beautiful place. And, until it made sense for people to reinvest in Okmulgee, they didn't do it. And our buildings were getting dilapidated, and a lot of out-of-state owners or out-of-town owners owned these buildings, and they just didn't care. Or maybe they didn't have the money. It's not always that they don't care, but they just don't have the finances. But it's exciting what's going on. And the city adapted to help Okmulgee rise downtown. We adapted by assisting building owners in the downtown business area with permits and fees, and we worked with them steadily on code, fire code specifically. We worked with business owners and building owners to ensure that, first of all, the public was going to be safe, that there was no danger, but that they could do it most cost effectively, put sprinklers in the right zones or put firewalls in their buildings to ensure the safety of those residents. So we worked with that area, and that's helped tremendously. We modified ordinances to accommodate downtown events and dining outdoors. We provided free Wi-Fi of no charge. We have a speaker network downtown with seasonal and theme music. We have ongoing upgrades that we're upgrading the Wi-Fi. We're trying to get it from railroad tracks to railroad tracks so that when people come downtown, they will have free Wi-Fi. We're striving to be customer friendly at City Hall and Public Works, and that goes a long ways. I mean, it's incredible when we have City Hall that's customer friendly and they have a can-do attitude, then that goes a long way with investors and with new businesses that come to town. Just like you were talking about our reputation of being a dirty town, well, we're starting to have a reputation of Okmulgee rising. And that includes the city and the City of Public Works and our city employees. They're doing a great job, and we're going to continue on that. And we're going to ensure that we're customer friendly. We just secured another grant to finish our sidewalks. And, so, I'm just excited about, when you look at who invested in Okmulgee, we've had over 23 buildings that have changed hands, and mostly hometown people. We have a few people that came in that were outside investors, but hometown people that love this town and that want to reinvest their money in downtown to make this a better place for our community and for our children.
Well, the Okmulgee Rising is exactly what the American Free Enterprise System is all about. You've got the money, you've got a project, you've got a dream, you've got an idea, you put your money to work, you invest it, and try to get a return on your investment. That is what this country was made from scratch, is the free enterprise system. I do agree, because I voted for a lot of those changes that were made to make it easier for them to get things done. I think we can do more, but we are making very, very good progress, and I'm proud to see it. I'm proud to be a part owner of it, not an owner of it, but part of it, the growth of it. One thing that does concern me a little bit, and I guess it's nitpicking, but it's not, is Okmulgee Main Street and the Chamber of Commerce seems like they're both trying to do the same thing. I think they do cooperate well together and work together. But, I would like to see them grow that even more so, is Okmulgee and the Chamber together, maybe do their funds, join forces to all pull the same direction. And I don't think there's any bad blood there or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just think that you'd have more money to spend for the advertising or the growth of the city and for the downtown area. I think that's something we can look at.
I won't take that personally.
It's not meant to. I wasn't criticizing anyone. I'm just saying there's strength in numbers is my point. And you get more budget and more people and more ideas.
Here's the one point they all know me and I can't keep my mouth shut.
You've
But
done good so far.
I'm just saying that Okmulgee Rising is not just a local deal. We have got regional recognition and we have got national recognition. It is a movement that is being recognized and watched by a lot of people. So that's all I'll say. And my hats are off to those people. A couple of them here, Gene, are here with made investments in the downtown area. Ronnie has made an investment in the downtown area. Maybe some more, and I'm not trying to cut you out, but we are getting regional and national recognition for what we're doing in Mobile this morning. Okay, I'm done. What do you see as the infrastructure needs for the city, and how would you prioritize them? Steve?
Well, water distribution system. We're working on the mains right now. We're going to continue to do that. That is super important for every citizen that lives in this town and drinks our water. Personally, I have a filter on my refrigerator, and I try to drink from the refrigerator. So that's our first thing. The second priority is the capacity, because as we grow as a city and our industry grows, we have to have more capacity and we have to have reserve capacity. So that's the water towers, and that's to ensure that we don't have so much pressure that's going from the water plant, treatment plant, to the infrastructure, the water distribution system. The third thing that I would say is top is paving projects. We need to, as we replace the water mains in this community, we pave the streets afterwards. If the water mains are not down the middle of the street and they're on the side, then we can go ahead and repave the streets. And so we're going to continue to pave as much as we can, as quickly as we can. And our city crews are doing this in-house, and they're saving us millions of dollars. And so we're not paving as much as we could if we outsourced it, but on the other hand, we're saving a lot of money that we can use and towards projects. The other thing is tear down project. We're going to continue to do the citywide tear down project. We've done over 300 houses in Okmulgee. We have 30 on the list this year, and we have 70 on the waiting list. And so if you've noticed that the Highway 75 corridor is getting cleaner and cleaner. I just had a businessman that came in from Tulsa last week, and he commented he hadn't been in Okmulgee in a while, and he said, you know, it's looking really good on the north end of town. And I know that when I moved here 15 years ago, it was really in bad shape. There was a lot of houses that needed to be torn down, and the city's been very busy at getting them torn down. So we're going to continue doing that.
On the north side?
We're tearing them down all over town, Jack. We're tearing them down all over town.
Really?
Yes. Do you remember the house on Mazio's?
Yeah.
It's gone.
Well, that's because.
There's a house on 20th. It's gone.
It was because it cost.
Yeah, well, we had to condemn it and we had to get it torn down. But yeah, you're right. The rubble was still there.
Do we have a list of these 300 houses?
Jack,
We do.
we're gonna allow questions from the audience here in a minute, but let's see, please comment.
The other thing is stormwater projects. When we have 8 inches of rain in this town, there are many places in town that flood. And we've been going through a study. We've identified many of actually we had about 1,000 places that we need to fix. So we're prioritizing them by cost, how many citizens are affected, and this is a continual project that we're going to continue doing. And that's what we use the stormwater fees that we collect off the water bills towards.
Water has been the main problem we've had in the city for some time. And I think we about beat that horse to death. We all know it needs new distribution lines. We also know that we need to get our chemical balance right out of the water treatment plant. We did find out at one time, you may have heard, that some of the chemicals that we were using were attacking the inner parts of the pipe and causing it to be darker, more brown, rusty, or whatever term you want to use. They're taking steps to get that changed, and along with some of the water lines that we've replaced, you should see some improvement in water lines overall. Paving, yes, is a major issue for the city. It is every city, but we're limited by monies. We can only go so far. One thing that is important to me too, and I had it on here, is we go into the rainy seasons. We're fixing to get to the spring rains. I would like to see the city manager and the public works start looking at cleaning out our drainage ditches now. Let's get ahead of it, make sure they're clear of any debris, and try to dig out any of the ditches that are full or clogged up, or sediment vegetation is setting in. And that would help with the flooding possibly if we can get it on out, and not backed up on us. As far as the houses that was talked about, I've got that on here also, so Jack, I'm kind of going to answer your question out of line. I've asked for a list of the houses myself, and I wasn't provided with. I was told we do have one. I'm on the council and I haven't seen it. What we do need to do, or what my question to them is the prioritizing of it. How are we deciding what houses are torn down and when? And I wasn't given an answer on that, and I want to find out. But to me, the houses that are at schools, parks, and arteries, main arteries, should be the top priority to me. If someone comes to Okmulgee and they're looking around, they've got kids, where are they going first? Main Street, parks, schools, things along that nature. So I would like to see us prioritize it by that first. And then maybe it's to how dilapidated they are, how long they've been on the list. I don't know. I can't find out. I will ask again and try to find out about that. But anyway, that is where we're at on that. Thank you.
I have to agree with both of these gentlemen. I think number one thing on the infrastructure is our drinking water. I don't have a solution for that. I would just have to see all the facts, put them together, go with what would be most beneficial to the citizens on any of the infrastructure problems. Infrastructure to me is something that is going to be continuous, always going to be there. So it's just going to be maintained.
Last question is, what makes you the best candidate for this position? And we'll start with Terry.
Well, number one, as being the newest member on the city council, I think I've got a whole new idea, a new way, a new outlook on things. We're not gonna rehash the same old ideas over and over and over. A new perspective, so to speak. The one thing that I would like to just think that I have done is no longer, and I've been on the city council, is I've tried to do what I said I would do in the previous elections that I was in. One of them was I wanted to make an issue, or not an issue, I wanted to clean Okmulgee up. I think that that is well documented. In fact, the mayor mentioned the progress that's been made up north. The Okmulgee Times did a feature on it, and we have made improvement, and I wasn't by myself, but I'm gonna take part of the credit for it because I'm making people mad at me. I mean, I'm calling the city council that they were irritated to. Part of that too, I think, is integrity. I think when you tell someone you're gonna do something and you follow up on it, then that means if you look someone in the eye, tell them you're gonna do something, I've done it, or I've tried to do it. I've mentioned the lakes, that was something else I've tried to do. Something else that's important to me that hasn't been discussed tonight, because they skipped that question and I wanted to bring it up, is we have a serious problem for things for our youth to do and our senior citizens. We have way too much, or way too many of our young people unsupervised at night, late evenings, school coming up. What the answer is, I can't just sit here right now and snap my fingers and make it go away or make it happen, but it's something that needs to be addressed. A lot of our people, our young people, go to bed hungry at night right here in Okmulgee, and I can attest to that from a program we have through our church that's being done at the Creek Village that a lot of people don't know about, but we'll just leave it at that. I don't want to make this a sermon, even though I don't believe in separation of state and church. We're all here together. But I think that that is integrity when you do what you're trying to do. If I tell you I can't, if I tell you I want to do something and I can't, I'm going to call you and tell you I can't and why. There's been a lot of people in Okmulgee have called me since I've taken office and tried to, and asked me for this or that or help. Well, I couldn't answer them every time, but I could get a hold of Mr. Ballinger or someone, get an answer and call them back. Wasn't always the answer they wanted to hear, but at least I did take the time to return their phone call, and a lot of instances jump in the car and go see them. I believe the old-fashioned way. I don't like email, I don't like voicemail, text messages. I'm old-fashioned. I believe eyeball to eyeball, one-on-one, and that way when I'm eyeball to eyeball, I can tell if you're lying to me and you tell if I'm lying to you. You know, so I may lie to my friends and you lie to yours, we're not going to lie to each other, okay? Honesty to me is very important. You know, like I said, there it goes back to integrity, but I want everyone to know that when I do something, I've got the best interest of the city of Okmulgee at heart. If you want to talk to me after I'm elected mayor, one of my goals is right now to start immediately in May is to have a town hall meeting once a month at a place, time to be determined, and where you can come in and sit down like you are right now, and if you want to talk or suggest or whatever, we can have those conversations. Right now, if you want to talk to the council all at one, you get 3 minutes. We don't always answer your questions the way that you'd like to be. And sometimes I think, I've been on watching city council meetings where they're watching the 3 minutes and I just you'd shut up and we need to go home. Well, I think that a town hall meeting, one-on-one, face-to-face would help the communications, and then we can take it to the full city council if necessary. And I am committed. I'm committed to Okmulgee. I'm committed to the citizens of Okmulgee and to the employees of Okmulgee. I think I can honestly say when I resigned my position in Little Rock, they had a surprise party for me and every single person showed up. And that meant a lot to me. There was about 120 people there. They didn't always like me. They didn't always agree with everything I did, but they knew I'd always be fair. They knew that I would listen to them, and they knew that I would respect them. And I think that's the way it should be in any position. And with that said, I appreciate your vote on February the 9th. Thank you for your attention.
Well, my feelings on considering the best candidate, is that what the question is?
Yeah, what makes you the best candidate?
What makes me the best candidate? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, both of these men are actively more experienced with the running of city government than I am. The thing that I would say is we all three love Okmulgee. We want to see it grow, not for the benefit of one individual or a group, but for all citizens. And I think the only thing that's going to show me which of us is the best candidates is when everyone gets out and votes their choice. And they decide who's the best candidate.
Well, first of all, I know the system. After working in this system for 8 years, and this is something that we chose in 1953. The charter was modified in the 90s, but very few things were modified. Like any job or role, you have to learn what works and what doesn't work. I've been successful at building strong relationships with the county government, our commissioners, the DA, judges, Sheriff's Department, Muskogee Creek Nation, OSU IT, Okmulgee Green Country Technology, and Okmulgee Chamber, and also Okmulgee Main Street. How have I mended some of the bridges with Muskogee Creek Nation? I have attended every event that I could possibly attend, and I have presented a positive outlook from the citizens of Okmulgee to Muskogee Creek Nation. I did the same thing with the county DA and the county commissioners, and also OSU IT and Green Country Technology. So I attend as much as I can, which if you look at my calendar, I attend a lot of meetings and a lot of events. But that's what it takes to build relationships, is you have to spend time with each and every one of these groups, because they're part of our community and they're very important. Each one has a critical role in the success or the failure of the city of Okmulgee. I have an open door policy. When I ran for mayor, I said I was going to have an office downtown. Our previous city manager did not like that, but I did. I had an office downtown, and I went there as much as I could. But let's face it, this is a non-paid position, and I do have a full-time job. But what I did do is I'm on Facebook. I am constantly asked questions from citizens on Facebook. So we have a lot of younger people and older people using Facebook. They don't hesitate to touch base with me on Facebook. They call me, they can call me at my home and leave a message, and I pick it up and I call them back. They can call my cell. Believe me, when someone calls City Hall, the admin does not hesitate to give them my cell phone number. And I do not hesitate to answer my phone. I might be busy, I get back to them, I'm responsive. And I will continue to do that, because I think every citizen is important in our community. I try to talk to everyone about their issues and needs, and I have a proven record of dealing with hard issues, like changing the city manager. 3 years ago, let's move back in time. 3 years ago, we had a lot of strife going on in this community. We had a rift with the county. We had a rift with Muskogee Creek Nation. I worked hard at trying to find a solution. The solution was to change the leadership at the top. When we made that change, what did we do? The council and I decided to go to our previous DA, Tom Giuliani, one of the most trusted men in this community. I went to Tom and I talked to him at length, several days, asking him to be the interim. He accepted that position. He immediately came on board and set the tone and set the fears of the city employees at ease. They were so upset and they were worried because we were making changes. Often, when we make changes in our life, or when things change on you, you don't know what to do. But we made that change, and it was a very positive change. As we had Tom Giuliani in as the interim city manager, he went through every department. Not only is he an attorney, but he's also a great manager. and he had a love for this community. I mean, he did not need to come out of retirement to be a city manager and take on all his headaches and problems, but he did because once again, he's a great Okmulgeean and he loves this community. So he did that for us. And as we were going through that year, Tom told me, he said, Steve, I'll do this for 6 months. So we immediately started a search for a city manager. You know, we had about 50 applicants. We had applicants from Alaska. We had like 5 PhDs that applied for the city manager's position. As we were going through the applicants, Senator Roger Ballinger called me and he told me that he was retiring. Now, Senator Ballinger has served this community for over the last 40 years. He was a councilman, he was a county commissioner, a state senator, who would have more contacts in the state of Oklahoma and help Okmulgee grow. So I asked him to submit his resume and his application. The council and I reviewed all of the applicants. We chose to go with Senator Ballinger. Senator Ballinger has been a godsend for this community, and I think he's one of the core reasons why Okmulgee Rising has been successful, because he cares about this community. He has the managerial skills to manage the city and manage the budget and ensure that we are honest and integrity. We have an honesty and integrity at City Hall. He has an open policy, and he has been very positive for this community. So the other thing that I bring to this table is that I do love this community, and I have a positive outlook on Okmulgee. If you look at Okmulgee in 10 years forward, we are going to be shining. We have had, for some reason, we got stalled. But we're off that now, and we're moving forward as a community. And, you know, we're a regional power. It's not just about the city of Okmulgee, but it's about the whole county. We have people from Morris that come here, Beggs, Preston, Schulter, Dewar, Henrietta. Okmulgee has an opportunity to grow into a great or even greater community. We have so many assets. We have 1,500 acres at the Okmulgee Regional Airport. We have 2 business parks that we can, we have shovel-ready business parks that people can come with an industry and they can locate in Okmulgee, and we're providing the capacity for them through water, sewer, internet access, and electricity and natural gas at the park. So I'm excited about Okmulgee, and I will continue to be excited. And I just hope that on February 9th, that you think about what we've done the last 3 years. And I hope that you will re-elect me so that we can continue with our forward progress and making Okmulgee great again. Thank you.
We're done with my questions. I'll open it up to the, okay.
I have a couple of questions. For those who don't know me, I'm John Hartman. I am currently the VFW Post Commander out here at Okmulgee. A year and a half ago, the state of Oklahoma was going to close it and sell the property. I convinced them to keep it open, so we still have a veterans community here. I want to know, here's what I want to know.
Well,
and I've asked
okay,
everybody,
according to state
how are we
law-
going to fix these ordinances that don't allow people to work on their properties?
The state law allows the city to have more stringent ordinances or laws than the state. And the city, if you move to Tulsa...
Say that again.
Okay. John, I'm never going to please you. I've worked with you for 3 years, but I tried to. But Mr. Hartman was working on a gas line when the inspectors came up. He did not have a permit. He did not have a professional plumber. If you go to Oklahoma City or Tulsa or any other city, you have to have a licensed plumber that is licensed in their city. We're no different. We're trying to make sure that people are safe in Okmulgee. And yes, we're going to have codes and we're going to enforce them as much as we can. Now, we just adopted the 2015 International Code for plumbing, electrical, and mechanical.
I'd like to know what made you change your mind from 3 years ago, where you had me on a survey from Strong Air.
Yes.
We know with
Well, at the time when I was running for mayor, I was not happy with the city manager. And So one of the things that we were looking at was possibly going to the election of the people to change the charter. Okay, but I continue to research the strong mayor, strong city manager form of government. And there are many articles on the webpage. In fact, there are more governments worldwide that are strong city manager form of government because of the things that I mentioned earlier. If the mayor,
But it's population-wise, it drives that, not.
it doesn't matter. If you look at Eufaula, that community had a strong mayor. So when you elect someone that lives in the city limits, that becomes the mayor, they may not be educated, they may not be able to manage people well, but you're stuck with them for 3 years.
You still got a city council.
So, yes, but the council is not doing day-to-day operations.
I don't know whether you got your water bill, and there was an insert.
Here's the problem.
And it shows that we are above the carbon level. It says we're not dangerous, but we are above what the level of carbon should be. Now, so my question is, if you get elected, how soon can you fix the water treatment plant, and would you have enough money to fix it?
I would fix it as quick as possible, as quick as money would allow. No, but seriously.
That sounds like a policy.
Seriously, I have not read my water bill, but I do know this, that they are, and I've toured the water plant with the city manager and Clint, and we are addressing that. It's safe to say daily. Everybody is tired of receiving those forms in their water bill. But also what you gotta look at, and I haven't read it, this one, you also have to take knowledge in how these samples are taken and what the government regulations are on. Me personally, most of it is government EPA BS in my opinion.
Well, yeah, it's EPA.
But we will have to try to balance the chemicals. And I'll do as quick, but like I said, they're doing everything they know. I am not a water treatment guy, I don't have that license. I would have to research it.
Steve, you have a comment?
The problem is not with the water treatment. The water treatment's fine. We've invested $14 million in our water treatment plant. We can actually treat up to 8 million gallons a day. Right now we're averaging about 4.5 in the winter, and we go up to 6.5 million gallons in the summer. We treat it, but then it hits our water distribution system. When it hits the water distribution system, that's where we do the sampling. We sample it at the water plant, but the ones that you get in your bulletin are the ones where they do 12 different samples throughout the city, and they look at the water as it flows through the infrastructure, the water system. It gets contaminated by the contents of the pipe. Just like your arteries, our water pipes coagulate particles.
So should we ignore that, Steve? I mean,
Well,
we
no.
got-
I lived in-
It doesn't matter where it's coming through. If
Do you have a
it's coming through
filter?
the pipe, we need to refill.
Did you know that if you buy bottled water, you're going to have particles in there, and you're going to have bacteria, but you're buying bottled water because you think it's safe. And we're a city of more than 10,000 people, so that puts us on the same level as Tulsa, Sapulpa, Oklahoma City. If we were under 10,000 population, then we would be in compliance, totally in compliance with the DEQ on our water. So, you know, can we fix it? We're working on poly replacement pipe throughout the city. We're working on that every day.
So are you saying it's a distribution from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
To the
distribution.
different areas?
Yes, because you have
One area
age systems.
worse than another?
Yes.
Okay? You don't mind, do you?
I do.
Why?
Jack,
Because we're beating a dead horse here, okay?
Jack, would you give $50 million to the city so we can put new water pipes in?
Are you telling me it's taking $50 million?
If we replace all the water pipes in Okmulgee, that would just be the mains, but then you still have houses that have galvanized pipe that are contaminated, that go from the water meter to their house. So you can't, we're not even testing that water. So each person that owns a house in town, if they still have galvanized, what are they getting in their water?
They're probably getting garbage
Right.
also.
But Jack,
That's
what I
their
said earlier.
responsibility.
We did find out at one time that some of the chemicals we were using was actually attacking the pipes and making it worse. Do you remember me saying that? And
If
they
you
had
save
done
us
away with
$50
that.
million, if you can prove the federal government's gonna step in and help you, just
They're
like
not
they're
gonna
doing.
step in and help.
Are there any more questions?
You know that. They're not gonna help us. We have to help ourselves.
Gene?
First of all, I'd like to thank all three of you. Forgive me, I don't have much of a voice right now. All three of you for having enough interest in this city to get out and go through this public abuse. As to his father, as to the gentleman that left, he bought a building or several buildings and wanted to do a bunch of work himself. If he were going to live in all of those buildings, that would be okay. But if you're going to use them as residential property, then the code requires that you use somebody as a plumber that is a plumber, that is not a jack of all trades. As to the water, our building sits at the corner of 6th and Morton. We went to the city with a specific request because we decided to sprinkle our building as an additional safety feature. In order to do that, it required 2 taps into the water line at a figure that I thought was outrageous. However, those taps were done very professionally. City council got together, they got with Public Works, there was a meeting. Because we were trying to reinvest in downtown, the city paid half the cost. Okay? So we can sit out and take pot shots at the city all we want. They are really working to improve the environment we live in.
I'm not a candidate for anything, except that I will say I've been here 37 years, and never before, in 37 years, have I seen the cooperation and the coordination that's going on between the really main entities in this town, and that's the city, that's the Creek Nation, that's OSU IT, that's the well, 2 years ago, Rob maybe we could attest to this, we were kind of at odds with the county. I hope we've kissed and made up a little bit. And we talk about Main Street and Chamber. What's going on in Okmulgee right now is definitely, and there's no question, it's a cooperative effort between every major entity in this town. And nothing keeps you from progressing except money. And we're getting there. And that takes individuals. So many people are involved in Okmulgee Rising and making Okmulgee a better place.
We had to spend $4 million on the landfill because our landfill was full. We were running out of time. And really, Okmulgee landfill is owned by the city, but it's a regional, it's a countywide landfill because all the rural carriers take their fill there as well, the garbage. We had a huge problem, and now we are paying for it. The citizens of Okmulgee are paying through their utility bills for the landfill. But until we got that in place, which was about a year and a half ago is when that was complete, the new cell will service us for about 20 years. We looked and studied different methods of waste, what to do with our trash and stuff. But until we got that in place, one of the things that I proposed when we were building the new landfill, the new cells at the landfill, was that we had a free dump day every month for each citizen. So anybody that lived in the city limits could do that. Well, that hasn't been feasible money-wise, but what we have done is we do have a citywide cleanup day, and on that day, you can go out and dump a trailer and a truckload for free if you live in the city limits. I totally agree with you. We need to have more volunteerism. The city employees can't do it all. Now, what they can do is like on the E-days, they're there on Saturday, you know, that we have the employees there, they take all the electronic waste that they can, and then we have it hauled off to a recycle center in Tulsa. But we need local organizations to bind with the city and help. We do a Highway 75 cleanup every other year. That's a big deal. And but you know, if you want to do this every month, then I'll help you as much as I can. And I think that you know, that's what we need, is we need volunteers. We can't expect the government, the city government is just made up of us, really, because we're representing you in the government and we're helping you, but we have employees. But if we want them to do everything for us as a city, then we're going to have to pay a lot more, which we don't have the money. So we definitely have to rely on volunteerism, and one of the subgroups in the Chamber of Commerce is to keep Okmulgee beautiful. And so they were working on that. And so we got to continue to do that, but by all means, you know, let's organize a citywide cleanup. I mean, that's a great idea.
Darryl, one thing I mentioned a while ago was having a once-a-month meeting, one-on-one with people that's close to a town hall. You've also got to be a little bit careful on violation of the open records law. For example, you know, if you get more than, actually, this could all, if you get 3 or more, or 2 or more city councilmen together, it can be construed as a meeting. So you'd have to be careful of those type deals. Of course, with everybody here, a camera rolling, I don't think they have to worry about the open meetings law, but you do have to be careful of that. But yes, I think the town hall meetings are great. My concern is, and I'm going to try it, is getting citizens involved. That is the thing that, you know, this will be my 3rd election, 4th if you count the runoff. And, you know, we have spent money on signs, we've spent money on radio, we've spent money on Okmulgee News Network. We've gone door to door, we've done everything to beg people to show up. And, you know, I've been disappointed in the turnout. Maybe disappointed because I lost a couple of those elections. And if everybody showed, maybe I won. But that's part of it. You know, another thing that the city does that hasn't been discussed here is talking about cleanup. I have to find out exactly how it works. We have a large truck with a claw on it that if you will get certain items to the curb, and on a Thursday, one Thursday a week, and they do it by order, they will come by and pick that up. I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly what that is because I don't have it in front of me and I don't want them to speak. But it's a service that the city offers that is a secret. And that needs to be put instead of in Jack's envelope with his water deal.
Actually,
we put a schedule in there.
We've mailed that schedule out, and it's on our website.
But we don't do it often enough.
And
Because I can't tell you what it is.
Grant.
Yeah, it's very Griffin. I'd like to say I appreciate hearing from you on your views about our city. I think all of us that are here, we show that we are interested because we're here to hear what you all have to say. And what the future, we've done a comprehensive plan sometime back here in Okmulgee. And I think we were kind of focusing on the South, but we know now that the growth is coming from Tulsa is joining Okmulgee. And infrastructure is very vital to development. Our church, which is we have well, I guess we've expanded the church considerably, a great deal. But the infrastructure problem, we want to do, we have like 3 projects that we want to do. But the infrastructure is important to us, and that the street project, I'm hoping that we can do better with that. The streets are narrow in the area we want to do our development. Also, it is a main thoroughfare. If you all know, Miami goes straight through to Eufaula. Buses travel that route to Muscogee Creek Nation, daycare, and what have you. It's a very busy street, but it's in horrible condition. When we have as the church continues to grow, and as these projects, we want a life center, we want daycare, so we're going to do some things like that. But we need the streets got to be really actually got to be addressed. When I served on the council, we worked on getting easements for the property. And I was under the impression we got pretty much of those easements cleared so that we can go ahead and do that, the expanding of the street. Because whenever we have big activities going on, we have the buses, they don't have any way harder to get in and out of the area where the location of the church is. But those are some projects that we're looking at doing, and hopefully when mayors are elected, they could actually address that need and that fixing the streets. But like I said, if you travel it, you'll see it's really in bad condition. And I know that money is a problem, but I would like for us to put that somewhat on a priority list, because that's those are the things that are in our vision that we want to do. 3 or 4 projects, and with the help of the city and doing things that they have to do, and we'll be willing to raise the money and do these projects that we have to do. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm Clint Wilson, and I'm a young professional here. I guess it's a professional part for URU. But I look around, and I'm the second youngest in the room. Makes me feel good, but it also kind of makes me feel a little bad because I'm the youngest person, one of the youngest people here, and we don't have that much involvement. What would you do as mayor? What have you done, Mayor Baldridge, is to get young professionals and people who want to basically raise their family here. I grew up in Morris, my family's from down here, so that's one of the reasons why I came back. I like this place, I love the place. But most people I tell I was moving back here, even the ones that live here, are you crazy? So what would you do to get people to move down here and raise their family in Okmulgee?
Well, one thing that, thank you for moving to Okmulgee. I appreciate you and your wife. And one thing that Okmulgee provides is low-cost housing. If you want to own a home, you can come to Okmulgee and you can flip that house, or you can buy one that's already built, or you can build a house, and you can do it for a reasonable cost. What I do every day is I talk to young people and I encourage them to get involved. And if people say, well, I'll never make a difference, and I talk to them about my story and what I've done and how I feel like I've made a difference, and they can make a difference as well. And so one of the things that we do is we mentor people, and we mentor young people through our church. We mentor people. I was at a party this weekend, and I was talking to a young man that wasn't registered to vote. He was a veteran. He came back. He wasn't registered to vote. And he was talking to me about Okmulgee and about what we were doing. And I just encouraged him, and I told him that we're on the rise and that we're working hard to improve Okmulgee, and we're going to stay here for the long haul, and that we're going to continue to build on our success and move forward. We're in a flat economy, and even through a flat economy right now, we are still progressing, and we have so much progress being made in Okmulgee. And I think we need to keep going forward. And so that's what I do every day. I talk to people. I don't know how many times I've talked to people and professionals that talk about Okmulgee and it's this or it's that. But until people actually get off the couch and start putting their mouth to work and their efforts to work instead of just complaining about the situation. Our family's invested a lot of money in this town, and we love Okmulgee, and we're going to continue to work on our properties, and that's what people have the opportunity to do in Okmulgee. I mean, you can't buy a house in Tulsa as reasonable as it is in Okmulgee. So.
And give our young people a reason to stay. That's an issue that we have here also. Yes, Mr. Will.
That's my question. What are we doing for our young people?
Well, a lot of that,
My kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, what have they got to do during the day in the summer?
part of that, is the lack of parenting. Let's get that out of the way. The government or the city at any level cannot or should not be in a position to have to raise somebody's kids. People, hang on a minute, okay? Listen with I'll tell you something. I know you can. But a lot of it is gonna take, and may take some initiatives, state tax, I mean, some city sales tax, refunds or something, incentive to get private industry, to someone to maybe come and bring in a bowling alley, maybe somebody would come in and put in a skating rink. We've got an empty building, school system's fixed to have an empty building on the east side of town. Maybe we could partner, gotta check out legalities and stuff, of using part of that school as a place for tutoring young people, and maybe also use it as a senior citizens type area. I think it's at least something to be explored. There would be some opportunities there, possibly would have to hammer out some details as far as logistics and legal. But, you know, so a lot of, we can't afford, not government at any level, just go in and say, we're gonna build a skating rink, or we're gonna build that. The skateboard's a positive, but, you know, we need to make sure that it's something that we do that can benefit the most of all.
So I'm talking about property owners that are using their property for their self, not for rental or anything else. How do you feel about some ordinances, looking into them, that are basically tying, for one, my hands when it comes to doing work myself, that the state of Oklahoma says I have the right to do? So my question is, how do you feel about looking into some of the ordinances? If the state says you have the right to do this, why would you want to pass an ordinance that just really strangles you? Do you have an interest in?
Ron, first, thanks for investing in Okmulgee. And you've done a great job. You've restored that building, and it's great.
Well,
when it comes to ordinances, the ordinancer is there for all citizens, and it's protecting citizens. And so when we do modify the ordinances, we have to think about what the causes or effects are on each ordinance. Now, they've been in place for a long time, and so maybe they were they were written in 1953. But, as a council, we do review the ordinances and we make sure that they're updated to reflect state law. So we change those quite often. In some ordinances, you get into certain scenarios, Ron, where you might be licensed, but 99% of the community aren't licensed. And so we're trying to protect people, especially when you have if you have a building that you're going to have, 50, 100 people in, you have a business or a restaurant, you want to make sure that the community is going to be safe. And so, yes, maybe we can tweak the ordinances. It's a lot easier said than done. And so, with licensing, if you go to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Midwest City, you have to have a plumber's license, electrical license. You have to have a license in each one of those cities, plus your state license. So we're no different than any other community when it comes to that. And if I look at certain ordinances, but like I said, don't know what the effect is going to be when we change that ordinances or lessen the restrictions on that ordinance. So it's easier said than done.
Ron, I'm not an attorney, so I would have to depend on the city attorney or whatever to advise us what's legal and not legal. I was under the impression, and I may be wrong, because here again, I'm not an attorney, there's a couple here that can help me, is I didn't know that we could, as a city, put down a law to supersede state law. And I don't know if they've done that or not. What I would suggest do is make it an exact question about one specific ordinance, and then have the city attorney look into it and advise us. Like I said, I'm not an attorney, I don't know, but I do believe that if it's your own, if I understand you right, if you're working on your own property for you, like my house, I think I could, without breaking the law, install a water heater in my house. But if I owned a apartment complex and I put a hot water heater in that apartment, I might be violating the law, but I'd have to check. That's just my understanding.
You would.
Thank you.
On the very basic bottom line, if we're talking about a business, then I agree with the city government telling them how they need to do it and having these requirements. But if they start passing laws dealing with my property, that I'm not making any, this is just where I live, I'm dead set against that. I think the government gets way too involved in individual people's business.
I don't think we're there yet, are we? We're here.
I would just say thank you for listening to me and putting this on tonight. Thank you much.
Well, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for having interest in our community. And, you know, no matter what, I look forward to the next 3 years, no matter what I do. And I'm going to continue to work in Okmulgee and try to help it grow and try to be the best person I can. And thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming. I hate that everyone started to leave. I think we've got more important things to do than listen to me ramble on. I think we've heard me ramble enough. I don't think I would say one parting shot is for everybody to vote. Take a neighbor with you and get as many people out to vote as you didn't vote. You know, win, lose, or draw, I would love to see a huge turnout. Of course, I want to win, but be careful what you bring for.
Thank you all for coming out.